Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be going over the rain, which is going to be taking part over the eastern half of the country, especially for the southeast, where over the past couple of days you've been seeing some rain, and that's only going to be continuing for the next couple of days. Now, in just one moment, I'm also going to be showing you the updated snowfall graphics for this year, so we'll have an example of that, of what you should be expecting to see when I do make my snowfall forecast this year, and that's going to include the winter storms, the individual winter storms. So I'll have that out for pretty much every single one that impacts the continental United States. So yeah, that's also going to be very exciting. Here's an example of that, and again, this is not really related to anything that's currently going on. I just want to put this on a map and just kind of show you the colors. And again, this is an example, so none of the colors right here are expected. We're not expecting for right now 3 to 5 inches in eastern Nebraska to fall over the next few days. This is just an example forecast of what a typical snowfall map will look like from this channel. So I did change up the colors a little bit. Last year I had more of the deeper blues, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches, and then after 8 inches it went to this purple color. This year I like the blue color a little bit more, so I kept it in longer instead of transitioning that to the purple color a little bit earlier. And I also changed up the intervals, so we're looking at, instead of what I used to have was just a coating of snow, I now have a coating to 3 inches. I did that just for a little bit of quality of life. A lot of snow forecasts, you would kind of see the lines right over each other like this, and it really didn't look too good. And really, there's not a big difference between a coating of an inch and an inch or two of snowfall. So I just kind of clump them together. It makes it easier for me, and it'll also make it easier for you guys to see exactly what is being shown on the map. 3 to 5 inches, that pretty much stayed the same, but I went after that by 5, so I went 5 to 10 inches, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 25. So this is going to be more precise than last year, and I also like that it is kind of rounded off, so it's a little bit easier to understand instead of last year where I was using 6 inches, 12 inches, kind of doing it by foot. So I was doing half a foot to a foot to a foot and a half. I was kind of moving it like that, and instead this year I'm going to go by every 5 inches. Tell me if you guys want me to change anything here, if anything with the colors especially you want me to change up, because I'll definitely get to doing that. It really does not take too much time. It just takes a few minutes of me messing around with the color picker and just kind of moving that around and seeing which colors you guys want the most. So if you have any suggestions, especially for the intervals of snowfall, so if you want me to go maybe by 6 or by whatever number, by 8 or 10, just let me know. I'm not going to go too precise, because once I get so precise, once I start going by every 3 inches, it's going to be a lot more difficult to create an accurate forecast, because I would have to be so precise. And of course, with these type of events, it's hard to be that precise. So I just wanted to show you guys that if you want to, you can take a screenshot of this. This is going to be kind of a template of what the other snowfall forecasts are going to look like this year. And with how the western United States is faring up right now, it looks like we could be implementing these snowfall forecasts in just a few days. So let's get into the actual video here, because we do have some weather to cover. We have a few red flag warnings up into Montana, as well as South Dakota and North Dakota. We have some severe thunderstorm watches in Arizona for much of the state. And then we also have a few air quality alerts in effect for Central California, one county under a freeze watch in Oregon. And then we have some wind advisories also in Oregon. We have flood watches up for the panhandle of Florida, much of Alabama, northern Georgia, a little bit of Tennessee. I believe that even crosses over into southwesternmost North Carolina. And then also for northern Virginia, we have a few flood watches up there as well. Yesterday we had a high temperature 13 miles west of Winter Haven, California, which is a bit of a counterintuitive name. They got up to 102 degrees Fahrenheit. The low temperature was in Peterson, Utah, where they got down to 8 degrees Fahrenheit. The highest rainfall report was in Fairhope, Alabama, which is in southern Alabama, where they got down to 3.45 inches of rain, and there were no snowfall reports as of yesterday. So let's start talking about the rain, and we're going to start to time this out for you guys, and then at the end of when we're going through the forecasted radar, at the end we'll look at the total amount of rain from this. Now there's a couple components that you want to look at. We have this first system, which is providing all that rain in the southeast. So if you live in the panhandle of Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, upstate South Carolina, western North Carolina, you guys have all been dealing with rainfall over the past few hours, and even the past couple of days, depending on where you are, and that's going to continue. So this is our first system, but also watch out for this disturbance, which, by the way, the National Hurricane Center, I don't know the exact percentage, but I believe it's somewhere between 20 and 40% chance of this developing into a tropical system. This is going to be our next batch of rainfall. Now, I'm not really too concerned with anything in terms of high winds or hurricanes or anything like that coming out of this system, but it could curve up closer to that mid-Atlantic shoreline and maybe graze some of these areas with a little bit of rainfall. So you're going to see this develop as well, and that's going to be a notable feature. We're not going to go too in depth into the threat of that, mainly because I don't think, even if it does develop, I don't think it'll be too big of a system. So I don't want to worry anybody by spending a whole video talking about that, when in reality it'll probably only have the impacts of rainfall, not really any of the other tropically associated impacts that you normally think of with a tropical storm. So this would be by tomorrow morning. Here to be by tomorrow afternoon. So you can see that we have that rain spreading a little bit further north into the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, the southeast. So this is going to be a widespread event, but notice the intensity of the rain as well. It's quite light into much of the Tennessee Valley, the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic. Really nothing that's coming down too heavy, except for in the southeast, where it's a little bit more steady. But even there, it's not really all that heavy at all. If we look at for Thursday morning, you can see that we have that rain still up for parts of the southeast and all the way in through the Great Lakes, and this is just going to continue to push on further to the east. Now here is that system, which is the tropical system, or potential tropical system, and that's starting to move a little bit closer to the Carolina coast. If we move this on to Thursday evening, you can see that we still have that light rain over the eastern third of the country. Moving this on a little bit more, this band of rain starts to push away further to the north, but again, here's that system which is starting to poke up, and eventually that will move to the north. Now again, I'm not really expecting anything that intense from this. You will probably hear some people saying a potential tropical system or tropical storm forming off the southeast coast. Really, the only impacts that will be noticeable will be the rainfall. The wind's not going to be that strong with this event, so I would be surprised if this does become a tropical storm. Not out of the question, but in my opinion, I think it would be definitely a long shot to see some of these storms actually develop. Here would be by Friday night, and you can see that this storm is now starting to kind of just slow down and barely inching itself away from the eastern United States. We have high pressure lingering up into eastern Canada, and then we have low pressure, which is up into the northern Atlantic. So when you have this type of pattern like this, you can see that we do have a little bit of a predicament, because this high pressure cannot go anywhere until this low pressure moves out of the way. So that's going to need to move to the east for this to move to the east, and in order for that to happen, this low pressure will also have to move to the east, which will in turn create a lane for this to move up to the northeast. So you can see how everything's pretty much connected when it comes to the weather. You need one system to move out of the way to make room for the other. So it will start to kind of stall out. It will continue to move, but again, it is moving quite slowly, so it's moving at a gradual pace. The one good piece of news here is that look how thin this line is. So it basically covers, I would say, if you're looking at this, maybe the western third of Pennsylvania. So we can use that as a good benchmark. The western third of Pennsylvania would basically be the size of this system. So we're dealing with a fairly narrow, I would say maybe 100-mile, 150-mile stretch where you're dealing with the rain. Maybe even smaller than that, where you're dealing with that rainfall. So it's not like we have a huge system that's going from Michigan all the way to the East Coast where you're dealing with the rain. It's going to be much more consolidated and centered over a smaller area. So once that's, even though that system is moving slowly, it's not going to be that noticeable because even if it is moving slowly, it's gonna be so so much of a tiny system that you'll be out of that rain either way within the matter of about 12 or 18 hours. If we move this on to Saturday night into Sunday morning, you can see that system starts to dissipate. It breaks off. We have a little bit of rain still lingering into the Great Lakes, but here's that tropically related system down off the shore of North Carolina and Virginia. It does have heavy rain associated with it, but again, we're not going to cover that too much in today's video. We'll leave that for another video. If we look at through the next 5 days, so this is going through Sunday morning, you can see that we do have that heavy rainfall offshore. Of course, that is from the tropical system. And then we have all that rain for the eastern United States. So in that gray color, that's where you're looking at most a tenth of an inch. So up to a tenth of an inch in the gray color, a tenth of an inch to half an inch in the green, half an inch to about an inch in that blue color, 1 to 2 inches in the yellow, 2 to 5 in the red, and then in the brown, which you see for a little bit of Georgia and North Carolina, that's where you have 5 to 7 inches of possible rainfall. Now, this little pocket of heavy rainfall in the southern Appalachians is not likely to be over that exact same area that's being forecasted, but just know that generally the heavier rain is going to be down in the southeast, with lighter rains as you get up into the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley, where it'll probably be on the order of about 1/4 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch, with some pockets here and there getting up to an inch. If you live in the Northeast, you're looking at most 1/4 of an inch over this next 5 days. Once we get past Sunday, depending on how close the system comes, whether it moves a little bit further inland or whether it moves out to sea, that could be your next shot at a little bit of more heavy rainfall. But for right now, over the next 5 days before this system comes close, you're going to be looking at about maybe 1/4 of an inch at most, and even in some parts of northern New England, probably not even any rainfall. And then again, down in the southeast, right around 1 to 4 inches with isolated 4+ inch amounts of rainfall. So here's why this is happening. We're just going to look at a few frames of the upper air map, which I like to look at because, again, it is way more important to look at when you're trying to figure out what's going to actually happen. Because a lot of people look at the surface maps to try and figure out what's going to happen, but they don't realize that everything starts higher up in the atmosphere, and then eventually that becomes whatever it is on the surface. So, for example, it's not just going to start raining out of nowhere. You need a low pressure system, generally in most scenarios, associated with that rain, which starts up in the upper atmosphere. You have that cooling pattern, cools down the clouds to the point where the water does get released, and that's how you get the rainfall. So it all starts from the upper part of the atmosphere and drifts its way down. So if you can catch the pattern higher up in the atmosphere, you'll be able to spot it and then eventually see the trends on the models once you find out what's actually happening. So we have that low pressure down in the southeast, and this is going to be what's driving all that rainfall. Here's that high pressure I was talking about that's slowing up this system, and you're going to start to see another low pressure build out into the northern Atlantic in just a in just a minute. So here to be by Friday night into Saturday morning. So you can't see the blue on the screen indicating the low pressure anymore, but there is a trough right here, which is indicated by the isobars, and then you can see that we have also a high pressure up into Quebec, which is slowing down the system. That trough actually goes all the way up here. So this is the general shape of the pattern. And then we have a low pressure, which is up near Nova Scotia and Newfoundland, which is bringing in a little bit more blockage to the Atlantic. So that's allowing this high pressure to stall out, which in turn allows the trough to also stall out. And that trough is what's bringing in the rainfall. So this is what's driving our pattern up to this point. And then if we look at for Sunday morning, you can see that we have that deeper trough into the east, which is somewhat associated with the tropical system. We also have that high pressure moving on further to the east into the Atlantic provinces of Canada. And then we have that low pressure dipping in a little bit further to the southeast, a little bit more. And so that's allowing the entire system to kind of start to move on a little bit. So one of the reasons that the west has actually been so cold, or is expected to be so cold, is because of this blocking in the east. So once this blocking in the east moves by, it's going to allow the troughing in the west to move to the east as well. So if we can eventually get rid of this block in the northern Atlantic, that would allow the system to kind of move on a little bit, or not the northern Atlantic, but this is actually more of the central Atlantic. If we can get that block out of the way, then you can start to get this pattern to move on a little bit, and you won't be stuck in your either warm or cold pattern for as long as you are, depending on in what part of the country you're in. So here's the precipitation anomaly map from the Climate Prediction Center. By the way, I do love how they changed it up before, if you remember, and you can check this out on previous videos, but they used to, on their website, have a pretty bad looking map. It really was not too well drawn up, but now they made it a lot more appealing to the eye, and definitely I like the new changes that they made with how they do their precipitation and temperature outlooks for the 6 to 10 day and the 8 to 14 day. They have above normal amounts of precipitation into the northern plains and also much of the west, which is not a surprise if you've been watching the past few videos. We have below normal precipitation for New England and the northeast, as well as for the southwest, and then somewhere near normal for the rest of the country. That's kind of just in that gray color. If we look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, which goes from the 13th through the 19th, you can see that we have above normal precipitation expected, and that's going to be mainly in the form of rain, but also high elevation snowfall. And that'll be mostly for the northwest as well as the central column of the country. And then we have some drier conditions still for the southwest and also for New England. The rest of the areas that are just in that gray are going to be in the near normal category. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. We had something new where we had the snowfall forecast example at the beginning of the video. So if you did enjoy the looks of that graphic, or if you want me to change anything, if you want me to potentially change the color, if you want it maybe a darker blue for 10 to 15 inches or 15 to 20 inches, or whatever specific recommendation you have for the colors or even the increments. So if you want me to not go by 5 inches, if you want me to maybe go by 6 inches, or whatever increments you want to go by, if you want me to go instead of 5 to 10 inches, if you want 6 to 12 inches, just let me know. And if enough people ask for that same change, then I'll definitely add it. It doesn't really take too long on my part, so I have no problem changing it if you just ask in the comments. And if you have any questions, or if you want a personal forecast, also just leave a comment down below, and I'll be responding within a few hours of you posting that. So again, I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Goodbye.